folks, it's Laura with Raintree Nursery, and today we get a chance to talk about grapes. Grapes are an amazing vine, very aggressive vine. Vinis vinifera is the Latin for most varieties of grapes. And there are two basic types of grapes. There are wine grapes and there are table grapes. Now, wine grapes generally don't taste very good to eat fresh. They're really made for making wine. They can be, mushy, the skins are thick, but what they really shine at is being fermented, because all of those intense flavors and the very high sugar content will make very complex wines. And there are a few grapes that have been used to make wine that are also good to eat fresh, and those were the beginning of the table grape family of grapes. The table grapes can be seeded or seedless. Seedless is a fairly new development on the scene, where the seed capsules, the outer seed sections, were found in some varieties to be so small that they were barely noticeable, and those became the parent species for breeding the seedless table grapes. There are also two different types of textures of table grapes. There is slip skin grapes, and then those are the ones that have kind of a jelly texture to them, and they're considered a more European style table grape. And then there's the classic American table grape, the crunchy grape, where the skin does not slip. It's very firmly attached to the meat of the fruit. You bite into it. Thompson Seedless is a perfect green grape example of this. It's very firm, it's very crunchy, it's seedless. And a lot of Americans will recognize that as a quintessential grape you get from the store. There are so many more to choose from. One of the things that we know about grapes is they were a staple of very hot climates. Many grapes like really long, hot summers. And so the secret to growing grapes successfully wherever you happen to be gardening is to understand the variety that will suit your summertime heat. Grapes are very aggressive vines, capable of growing up to 40 feet in a single season. So learning how to prune your grapes effectively is a really important skill. YouTube has a lot of great videos about the different kinds of pruning methods you can try. Grapevines that are growing grapes specifically for winemaking need a lot heavier pruning than home growers growing grapes for table use. You also need to have a very strong trellis for your grapes. Again, YouTube is a great resource for looking at different trellis designs. I happen to really like cattle panels. They're very inexpensive, easy to find, and really strong for a nice solid base for my homegrown grapes. Grapes are one of those plants that will not tolerate any shade at all. So even if you're in the very hottest of areas, grapes want to be in full sun. It's critical if you have a cool summer location for your grapes. Oddly enough, grapes are not terribly fussy about their soil quality. They really like heavily mineralized soils, so rocky soils are not a problem for grapes as long as you get them well established in their early years. They want something that's got a little bit of soil that's gravelly and very good drainage. When it comes to ripening grapes, it's very important to select your variety carefully. Grapes usually ripen toward the end of the summer because they need a lot of heat units to get fully ripe and wonderful. In fact, in some cool summer areas, there is a limit to the varieties of grapes that we can grow, say here in the Pacific Northwest, because we have a limited number of what is called growing degree days. For those of you in very hot climates, you can grow just about any variety. Some will ripen earlier than others. The way you tell if a grape is ripe is you understand the variety you're working with. Is the color right? If it's a dark grape, is the color fabulous, dark and wonderful? But really, it's all about taste. Pollination is really easy on grapes. They are all self-fruitful and they're insect pollinated. Just stand back and watch the bugs go at it. When it comes to water and fertility, grapes are quite easy care as long as you set them up carefully. The first 2 years, you want to make sure to give them 10 gallons of water each week, except twice a week if the temperatures are over 80 degrees. And it becomes really important to add a long-lasting source of both fertility and organic matter, especially if your soils are really rocky, to get your grapes going in a good way. The best way to do this is fresh rabbit manure. That works really well to both add to the whole and top dress with the whole. If you've got a grape that isn't doing well, a little bit of fresh rabbit manure, don't bother aging it, will really help allow the soil to hold its water and release some good nutrition slowly into the soil. For the most part, they're easy care. If you don't have rabbit manure, then a little bit of dollop of fish emulsion, maybe once, maybe twice in a season, if your grape isn't doing well, is the way to go. But most people find that their grapes, once they get going, are off and running. And that's it. Thanks for joining us. It's Laura with Raintree Nursery. Happy growing.